Hi there, I'm Wild Humphrey, the Fact Master. I'll tell you all the things you never knew you didn't know, and a few that you certainly do. Now, on the 1st of June 1926, one of the most iconic people of the 20th century was born, and her name was Marilyn Monroe. But the day she was born, she was just plain old Norma Jean Mortensen, and she kept that name into her teenage years. But as Norma Jean Mortensen, she wasn't a happy person at all, and she craved an incredible lifestyle. She wanted to be all the things she'd seen, and she's thinking, what can I do? How can I achieve my dreams? And her dreams were to be a superstar, a model, a singer, actress, you name it, she wanted to be. So she had an idea, thought, I'm going to change my image, my style and my name. And Norma Jean Mortensen went from a brunette in plain clothes to Marilyn Monroe, the blonde hair, the body of a goddess with all the right curves in all the right places. And Marilyn used everything she had to get everything she wanted, and she knew how to do it. So intelligent was Marilyn Monroe. Her IQ was actually higher than Albert Einstein. She famously married 3 times. One was a guy named Arthur. But her most famous marriage was to Joe DiMaggio, a well-known superstar on the baseball circuit. And they were married in 1954, and this was her second marriage. And they were married on the 14th of January that year, and it was the wedding of the century. Move over everyone else, because Marilyn and Joe were in town, and this was the wedding that no one could believe. He was, at the top of his game. She was Marilyn Monroe, this incredible blonde bombshell, and all the press were there, the stars were out, the whole thing, off you go. But Marilyn's life was troubled. With the success became these prices she seemed to have to pay. And this marriage was doomed pretty much from the start. Joe DiMaggio was a controlling person, and he didn't like his wife doing just what she wanted. And Marilyn wasn't having any left from Joe. She would do, and the more he said no, the more she said yes. And there was a time when she famously, her skirt blew up for a photo shoot, and everyone cheered. But one person that she didn't cheer was Joe DiMaggio, and that was in the September of the year they were married. October the 6th, just a couple of weeks later from this photo shoot, Marilyn divorced Joe DiMaggio on grounds of mental cruelty. She wasn't having any of that. Now, she did marry again, but her most famous was Joe DiMaggio. Marilyn was the actress she wanted to be, was the singer she wanted to be, and was everyone's pin-up girl. In fact, she was the first Playboy cover. Hugh Hefner, who owned Playboy, used Marilyn for his cover of his first Playboy magazine, but it was without her consent. Everywhere she turned, Marilyn, people wanted a piece of her, and if they could get it, they would get it. She starred in a number of films, and she was a great actress, as well as being, incredibly beautiful. She starred in a film like Niagara, which is like a noir film. It's really, really good. An intelligent, clever movie. Famously, she was in Some Like It Hot and The 7-Year Itch, but loads of others as well. The last movie she was ever in was called Something's Got to Give, and that movie was never finished. Now Marilyn didn't just date rich men, politicians, you name it, superstar. She had a relationship with the president himself, JFK. He just happened to be married at the time, but nonetheless, Marilyn was having what she wants to do. She also had a relationship with his brother, Robert. Now those two men were both later assassinated, although I don't think it was anything to do with Marilyn, unless it was one of her jealous husbands, but that's not the case either. But the hotel that Robert Kennedy was assassinated in was the base for the modelling agency who employed Marilyn Monroe. Take that. That is a fact. People were jealous of Marilyn. They were in love with Marilyn. They followed Marilyn. She had no peace in her life. And of course, they say she took an overdose and her body was found in her home in Brentwood, Los Angeles, California, on the early hours of the 5th of August 1962. And even then, people still taking a piece of Marilyn. Theories and God knows what came out about how she died. Was she killed by the FBI? Did the Kennedys have anything to do with? Was it an overdose? The official line is she took too many barbiturates. This is the most famous woman in the world at the time. She was the biggest movie attraction in the 50s. She made Chanel perfume the biggest thing ever when she said, "I only wear Chanel number 5 to bed." I mean, she would just suddenly make things incredibly happen by being there. If she walked into a room, everybody knew she was there. Didn't matter how big that room was. If Marilyn Monroe was in there, everybody knew. She was in Madison Square Garden on the night of the 19th of May 1962. It was only a few weeks before her own death that she stood there in front of thousands and sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" to JFK 10 days before his 45th birthday. And both of these people, there's been theories about both of them since the day they died. Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe. Who knows what really happened? We think they do, but do we? The mystery will go on forever. Now, even in death, Marilyn had songs, books, movies, miniseries, stories, God knows what, written about her. She fascinates the world still to this very day. And she actually lies now in the Corridor of Memories, it's called, in number 24. It's where her body lies. And I said, you won't believe this. A couple of things. Hugh Hefner, who'd ran Playboy, had bought the kind of tomb next door to hers, so that when he died he'd be sleeping or lying next to Marilyn, or as close to her as he could get. And that's what happened when he passed off. He went there, but long before that there was a guy in America, very rich guy, and he was fascinated by Marilyn like many, but he thought, I know, when I die, I want to be put in a tomb above Marilyn's tomb. That's where I want to be. So he got it all written up in his will, did the whole thing, but what he stipulated was that they put him in a tomb, lying face down, so that he would actually be looking down, if you will, to Marilyn underneath him. And this was his dream, what he wanted. Sure enough, died, left the will. His wife carried it all out to the letter, put him in there. There he was. He was happier in death than he ever was in life with his wife. But his wife, a few years later, she thought, She got into a bit of a sticky patch. She needed some money. She said, well, I've got children. I'm living in Beverly Hills. It's an expensive place and I need money. And this fella can still help me. So what she did, she said, right, you've had long enough on top of Marilyn Monroe. You are moving. And she put his tomb up for sale. And I think it was an auction in the end. It cost something like $3 million. Just a bit more even. Well, that made the rich beyond the dreams. So he got him out of there. Stuck him in a hole in the ground. Put a post on top. There you go, fella. You've had your chance. Now you're out on the land. I've got my money. Rich for life. Living a Beverly Hills lifestyle. What else could you do? And that is a fact. Also, after Marilyn Monroe died, of course, one of the people to cash in on this blonde bombshell was Elton John. He wrote Candle in the Wind 10 years after she died and released it. Made a fortune. And then released it again a few years later. And then in '97, of course, he ruined it for all the Princess Di business. So Marilyn was never been left in peace, not while she was alive and not while she was dead, but she was always remembered. Now, Joe DiMaggio was said was his second husband. He was in love with Marilyn. Right, he couldn't cope with her fame and how she wanted to live a life. But he never stopped loving her ever. And of course, he made all the arrangements for Marilyn's funeral. Everything. He made sure everything was absolutely as perfect as it could be. He couldn't stop Hefner buying the tomb next door. He couldn't stop the other guy going on top facing down because he just didn't know what was going on. But what he did do, every single week for the rest of his life after she died, he took a rose to her tomb and left it there. He couldn't ever get it out of his mind, and she got a rose a week for the rest of his life. And that is a fact. But Marilyn Monroe, the blonde bombshell, who turned the film industry, the music industry, and God knows what on its head, her memory lives on. But if she was alive today, she'd be the same age as the Queen. So in some ways, I'd rather keep it the way she was. Now Marilyn, one of the things many people don't know, she was 5'5.5" tall, Marilyn. 5'5.5" feet, that is, tall. She was a 35, 24, 36 figure. And she was incredible. She also had 6 toes on her left foot. So here it is, a girl born plain, changed the world in her own way. Blonde, beautiful, all the right curves in all the right places. An IQ higher than Einstein. And he was a pretty clever fella. And that is a fact. That's just a short version of the life of one of the world's most famous, Marilyn Monroe. That is a fact. And whilst Humphrey, the Fact Master, thanks for watching this. Please subscribe to my channel, because everything I tell you is from up here. I'm faster than Google. I love anything iconic. I'm the Fact Master. I'll be back with some more facts for you pretty soon. Take it easy.